Okay, now, there's a new lawsuit connected to the president's health care law, and the group's president saying the administration needs to come clean on how they decide who gets a waiver from the law's requirements. It's also spotlighting the record of compliance with the Freedom of Information Act. More on that in a moment. But they're pointing to information, including information about this ad. Remember it?
This year, like always, we'll have our guaranteed benefits. And with the new health care law, more good things are coming. Free checkups, lower prescription costs, and better ways to protect us and Medicare from fraud.
Well, the group is called Crossroads GPS. It says that Andy Griffith ad we just saw cost taxpayers $3.6 million. Well, Stephen Law is president and CEO of the group, and he's here to talk about it. Stephen, good morning to you. What's wrong with that spot?
Well, there's nothing necessarily wrong with it, but the public has a right to know that they paid for it. They paid $3.6 million for it. A lot of people were asking the Obama administration to tell what the cost was. The administration stonewalled it, and it took FOIA requests to get that information out, and we've since created a website, wikiaccountability.org, to allow people to post that information so people know what the Obama administration is up to.
Now, Steve, why do you need a website? What's the purpose behind that?
It's simply to crowdsource information that people have acquired through the Freedom of Information Act process, and also to make it a site where people can also post information about FOIA requests they've submitted that the Obama administration has refused to answer. There's a law that the Obama administration is required to obey. They're not obeying it very well, and so this website will also highlight their spotty performance.
Well, just to be clear,
a
FOIA is that Freedom of Information Act request that yes, any American citizen can make and request information from the government. I think there's a deadline by law that's required to hand that information over. What is it, like 3 weeks or something? What is it?
It's 20 business days.
20 business days.
Right, and there are some allowances for agencies to kind of work through that. But what this administration has done, it's not just our organization that's saying it, it's journalists, it's even liberals criticizing this administration for having a dismal record of providing the basic information that citizens are entitled to by law.
Well, the other side's hitting back. They started their own website, too, to counter people like you. And what they're saying is this on the screen in part: Crossroads GPS, your group, has spent millions of dollars from secretive hidden donors on misleading campaigns. It continues, if Crossroads GPS wants to be taken seriously on transparency, it must practice what they preach and the names of their secretive donors. Are you hiding something, Stephen?
No, I'm not surprised they don't like us, but here's the difference. We're a private organization. We're funded entirely by private voluntary contributions. The Obama administration is the government, and they need to comply with the law, and they're not doing that. And here's why it matters. On the Obamacare waiver program, organized labor was the biggest lobbyist for Obamacare. And it turns out they're also one of the biggest recipients of waivers so that they don't have to comply with the law that every one of us watching today has to comply with. And not only that, our research shows that these same unions that are getting all these waivers spent $120 million or more helping to elect Obama and the Democrats in 2008 and 2010. This looks like influence buying to us.
Do you think, though, that, are you the only group doing this? Because I find a lot of reporters running down these trails.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, as I said, if it were just us making the criticism, you might say we had our own particular point of view. But you have journalists, you have people on the left who are all trying to get information out of this administration, and they're getting stonewalled, or else they're getting very, very spotty responses. And that's why we felt like we had to file a lawsuit and set up a site to start to hold the administration
let me just go back to my previous question. Are you being secret? Are you hiding things? Or do you feel that because you're a private group that you have no obligation to do that, Stephen?
Well, we are a private organization. We do have laws that apply to us that we're required to follow. We do file an annual tax return, which we will do at the end of our first fiscal year. We comply with the law. And the Obama administration has a law that it needs to comply with as well, and it's not doing it.
Okay, we're going to get more reaction from the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. They're the ones responding to you. And, Stephen, thank you for coming in today. We will follow it. Healthcare is hot again today. Thank you, Stephen.
It's very important.